Running a tabletop game can feel like juggling flaming swords while riding a unicycle. You've got a story to tell, players to manage, rules to remember, and a world to bring to life all at once. And that's where our DM screens come in to help us. It's not just a barrier between you and your players, it's your command center, your cheat sheet, and sometimes your saving grace. Hey everyone, my name's Steven, and this is Above the Table, where we like to talk about how to better run our games. In today's video, we're diving into DM screens, what they are, and what kinds of things that I and others find incredibly useful to keep on them, and how you can customize literally any screen. Throughout the video, I'll talk about some of the free reference sheets that I've made just for you. The link for those can be found in the description below, so if you'd like, grab those and check them out and listen along as we dive in. And if you find this video helpful, smack that subscribe button and give the video a like, as it helps the channel out a ton and is absolutely free. Without further ado, let's get into it. Now, I feel character stats are almost a must-have. Whether it's player characters or NPCs, having quick access to things like health, abilities, and things like their passive stats can save time and help keep focus on getting the story moving. Hey everyone, Editing Steven here. Just wanted to take a quick second and say I forgot to mention in this section that I wanted to give a few options for the character reference sheets. So as you can see here, we have this one, which is a basic one that can be cut down as needed or used as it is for a party with an even amount of characters, as well as this one that can be used for parties with an odd number of players, and this style as well, giving you the option for things like campaign notes and etc. Anyways, let's get back to the video. Instead of flipping through different sheets, you can seamlessly reference what you need to keep the narrative moving along. Equally important are plot or world building notes, major story beats, key NPCs, allies, rivals, and critical locations. This helps you maintain consistency in your storytelling and ensures you never miss out on an opportunity to weave in the details that make your world feel expansive and alive. Combat is another cornerstone of most games, and sometimes it can pop up when we least expect it. And that's why having some form of reference or being able to put a combat together on the fly can be useful, whether you have specific monsters, some generic stat blocks for the tier of play that you're currently in, or something like I've included in the printout sheets, a full on-the-fly monster builder, courtesy of Michael Shea over at Sly Flourish. This thing is capable of giving you a quick breakdown some of the basic stats to throw together monsters at a moment's notice. This comes from his Lazy Monster Builder. Another interesting thing that you can keep on hand are triggers. Triggers are one of those behind-the-scenes mechanics that your players often don't know about, at least not at first. They're secret conditions or effects that activate only when specific things happen during the game. For example, a trigger might involve an effect that doesn't manifest until the next long or short rest, a certain date arrives, a particular item is interacted with, or it could even happen from something during combat. Let me share an example from one of my recent games. A player in my group, Ko, the Tabaxi Druid, is cursed, but the details of the curse are a mystery to her. Behind my DM screen I had a note that simply read, Ko, save nature. The secret trigger was that if Ko took the steps to get the attention of the lesser aspect Vareo, the protector of wildlife, by being a substantial force in preservation of nature or helping or protecting the nearby woods, Vareo would then show up at some point and provide not only some information about Ko's curse, but also a little protection around a negative aspect of it that previously might not have been noticed. All of this happening before it may have happened in the story, without this happening in particular. Triggers can be positive things or negative things, but it's not meant for things like what happens if they pick the lock or spring the trap, but more what might happen if they take the extra time to go a certain direction that either has very beneficial or very negative impact. Something that maybe heavily leans into their character, their backstory, and what kind of journey that they personally are on, or something that directly goes away from it. It's like taking that thing that we always do, even when we're trying not to, of thinking about all the different ways things could go in our greater story, And instead of trying to force them or think about how we can make things go a certain direction, we can at least keep track of triggers that will spring those narrative traps. Triggers like this are a fantastic way to add layers of intrigue and unexpected consequences to your game. Now, before we talk any more about what's useful to have on these screens, some of you might be thinking, well, what if I can't customize my screen? And what if you have a screen like this one, a traditional Dungeon Master screen from Wizards of the Coast, kind of that thick cardboard style? Or what if you have one like this one from the Essentials kit? It's like a heavy paper. I mean, just look at it. So floppy. Well, I'm telling you right now, all you need is to get you some magnets like these and some sticky tack like this. Now, I personally like to use the Gorilla Glue brand sticky tack because it seems to hold up quite well and last a long time before it dries out and is no longer useful. For the magnets, they're just a basic circle magnet about 1 inch in diameter. These other magnets you see here are a little bit fancier looking and they have like a plastic finish and a little bit nicer feel on the hands, although I will say the magnets that are inside of them are not nearly as strong as the basic disc magnets, but they're nicer to have on the pieces of paper when I'm changing things out. But I mean, look at this. You can take even the simplest DM screen like this one from the Essentials kit and now have a fully customizable screen that's even decently stable, with just a few bucks and some printouts of information that you'd actually use. And using a decent sticky tack like this, you shouldn't run into any issues with peeling on the screen or anything like that. But worst case scenario, over time, if you do end up having some peeling on the screen, well, we're covering over this for a reason anyways, right? This information isn't useful to us anymore. One of the most frequent things I hear about people always needing on the fly and looking for more of is not only just names, but a way to throw together a name and maybe a little bit of a physical description. In the free printout sheets in the description below, I've included not one, but 2 D100 lists, with 3 different categories for first names, a column for surnames, and a column that gives you a notable physical attribute. That's right, 600 first names, 200 surnames, and 200 quick physical descriptions that can give you some form of flavor or idea to throw onto your NPC to make them just a little bit more individualistic when your players undoubtedly try to interact with someone that you didn't have prepared. Another helpful way to use your DM screen is to track major and minor events as they happen throughout your campaign and story. You don't want to accidentally repeat a key plot point or forget about an important development. Marking events as active or completed helps you keep track of what's been accomplished and where the narrative is headed. For example, if an assassination happens, your NPCs should refer to it and act accordingly. A living DM screen is essential. It allows you to add and adjust events as your campaign evolves and your needs change. And don't forget about things like roleplay and description notes. A well-crafted game world is one that feels alive and realistic. And a big tool that's not often used to its full extent is the 5 senses: sight, sound, smell, touch, and taste. Expanding outside of sight and sound, which are so commonly used, can do wonders for immersing your players into your setting. Whether it's the smell of fresh bread wafting through the village market, or the oppressive heat of the desert, or the feeling of their nose hairs burning while they smell the heavy rot and decay and taste it on their tongue, walking through the supposedly abandoned dungeon. Sensory details make the world feel tangible and relatable. And the best part, you don't need to memorize it. Just jot down a few reminders on your screen and you can just enrich your descriptions as you go. Knowing how far your characters can travel in a given time is another essential piece of the puzzle when planning, especially if you're using travel mechanics or combat scenarios with varying movement types. Having movement and distance tracking on your screen will help you avoid pulling travel times or distances out of thin air, giving your players a consistent experience anytime they look into this. Every campaign has its share of status effects like poison, paralysis, confusion. Instead of flipping through rulebooks, you can keep a cheat sheet for critical and lingering effects, what they do, how they might affect a player either mechanically or physically, which in turn can make them more prominent in the story if you have any narrative objectives around a particular one's importance. And magical effects and combat rules are often one of the most common things that need quick referencing. DM screens are a great place to jot down reminders for things like concentration checks, which seems to be a common forgotten one, or things like spell components, magic school classifications. You can even track things like rules for cover or improvised damage, and manage those effects like poisoned, stunned, all in one spot. A DM screen is incredibly customizable, which is what makes it so invaluable. Not only can you use preset rule tables for quick access, but you can also adjust it to fit your campaign's unique needs. If you're running a campaign full of magical effects, diverse locations, or intense combat mechanics, add references to that on your screen. That way, any quick referencing to these very specific things can just make your whole game run smoother. I also think having a dry erasable surface, either behind your DM screen or attached to it in some way, can be a game changer. I use this one right here to jot down quick notes and take track of things like monster hit points and make on-the-fly adjustments. It's simple and efficient, and keeps everything organized in the chaos of a session. This one here, I have simply just removed the back from it on those same disc magnets with a little bit of sticky tack behind them, so I can quickly take it off and put it back on whenever needed. But what about on the other side of the screen? This surface can serve easily to help people on both sides. We can attach things like maps, handouts, and more. One of the biggest challenges for new players, and sometimes even experienced players, is remembering exactly what they can and can't do on their turn. A simple action economy reference detailing movement, attacks, actions, bonus actions, etc. can save a lot of time and confusion, and it keeps everyone consistent, especially when you're running with like a more complex system. Of course, you can have these reminders on your side of the screen and wait for someone to prompt you for the information, but sometimes it's nice to be able to give people the tools to speed things up themselves and make everything smoother on both sides of the screen. The DM screen is more than just a physical barrier between you and your players. It's a tool that helps you manage your game world and improve storytelling and keep the pace flowing smoothly. The beauty of the screen lies in how you can tailor it to your own style of play. Whether you're tracking events, managing combat, or enhancing the atmosphere, the DM screen can be customized to fit the needs of your game, and there's no reason you shouldn't do so. We have enough on our plate already. The key is to continually update it and make it work for you. And well, everyone, that just about wraps up today's video, but I gotta know, do you use a DM screen? If not, why? And if you do use one, is it in front of you, or do you ride side saddle? And what do you like to put on yours to keep the game running smoothly? Also, remember, if you check out any of the free reference sheets found in the description below, let me know what you think of them, what parts of them you find useful, and if you want to see anything more like this in the future, and what changes you might make to them yourself down in the comments section below, so we can keep this conversation going. And I will say, I do have plans to update most of these sheets to a landscape style for those that don't run on a taller DM screen. I was just unable to get everything formatted in the way that I wanted it before the time of filming. So if you're looking for a landscape style, don't forget to leave a comment and let me know. If you found this video helpful or interesting, give it a like and smack that subscribe button and bell notification, and join in and follow along for more as we continue to learn how to better run our games. Thanks guys, and I'll see you on the next one.